Who's in Addis Ababa for us. Thanks very much for joining us, Sarah. So proceedings are going to wrap up today. What were the sort of key issues that were discussed? Of course, we know the theme was the silencing of the guns.
Well, they have discussed issues of peace and security on the continent and how they can be able to silence the guns once and for all, saying that we still have 17 active conflicts on the continent and that this is an increase, a 300% increase compared to 2005. And that was just about 7 years before they set themselves this goal. I'll just take 1 minute to speak to Sophie Mokoena, who has been dealing with the issues of peace and security, and then I'll get back to you to studio so that you can continue with the interview and other issues that are being discussed here. So Sophie, please come in and just let us know. You have been attending the conference on the issues of peace and security. What has been discussed this far? And when you listen to the conversations, do you feel a political will by the leaders here to sort out the issue of conflicts on the continent?
Well, what we got from the Commissioner on the peace and security, high on the agenda was the Libya question and, of course, the Sahel region, but that would include also the Horn of Africa, South Sudan. On Libya, they indicated that they've agreed to have a summit to look at Libya, and also they've appointed a contact group to deal with this issue. When I ask why so long, because this matter dates back during Muammar Gaddafi's assassination 2011, and the African continent is reluctant to really get involved, and now you have foreign forces and countries who are involved in trying to broker peace, but these are the same people who have instigated this conflict. They indicated that there were divisions within Libya as to whether the AU can be involved, because the AU was seen as a brainchild of Muammar Gaddafi, but now it's time for the Libyans to really swallow their pride and also listen to the AU, and they are willing to take the matter seriously. But secondly, you know, the Secretary General has called for a peace intervention mechanism, and that would include force, nothing else but force, because the negotiations have failed. On South Sudan, they are very reluctant to commit to the fact that they will grant South Sudan extension for 4 months for them to form a government of national unity or interim government. Clearly, they are not buying South Sudan stakeholders' request that this matter should be suspended or put on hold for 4 months until they resolve the issues of the boundaries. And the last thing was on Mozambique. We know that there's a crisis building up in Mozambique, in our doorstep in South Africa. The extremists operating there, killing people. Clearly, they characterize that as terrorism, and they are saying that it's time the continent act on that. And it looks like countries such as Tanzania will have to be involved, and South Africa. And clearly, there are many issues to be resolved, but also a big announcement that South Africa is going to host a Silencing the Guns Summit in May, where they will be looking at all these hotspots. But the question is, will the continent be able to silence those guns?
Thank you very much, Sophie. So will the continent be able to silence those guns is one of the issues that will be discussed here. The meeting will be closing later today, but there are also other issues on the coronavirus that have been discussed, issues on gender equality, issues on how the continent can adapt to the effects of climate change, which is ravaging the continent in most parts of the continent.
Thanks very much, Sarah, for your report. That was Sarah Kimani reporting from Addis Ababa.